The Last Walk Home. How Kristin Smart was taken by someone she knew. She trusted him to walk her home. She never made it back. This is a real American true crime story about an abduction by someone she knew and how the truth stayed buried for decades. If you want real U.S. crime stories, real victims, and real justice, subscribe now and stay with us. This is True Crime. The ground told the truth long before anyone else did. Under a quiet backyard in California, forensic teams stood still as the machines beat. The soil beneath their feet showed signs of something terrible: disturbed earth, human decay, traces that should not be there. For 25 years, one question had never been answered. Where was Kristin Smart? Then, in that moment, the silence broke. Investigators realized they were standing above the place where a young woman had once been hidden, not by a stranger, not by a shadow in the dark, but by someone she knew, someone she trusted enough to walk beside her in the final minutes of her life. And as police prepared to make an arrest, one haunting truth became clear. Kristin had not vanished. She had been taken, and the person responsible had lived freely for decades. But what really happened that night, and how did the truth stay buried for so long? That answer begins on a warm college campus many years earlier. Kristin Smart was 19 years old. She was a freshman at California Polytechnic State University. Friends described her as kind, friendly, and full of energy. She loved music. She loved life. She had just begun her adult journey. On the night of May 24th, 1996, Kristin went to a small off-campus party. It was nothing wild, just students talking, drinking, laughing. A normal night. No one there believed they were seeing her for the last time. As the night ended, Kristin was visibly drunk. She struggled to walk. Several people noticed. That is when a fellow student stepped in. His name was Paul Flores. Paul offered to walk Kristin back to her dorm. He told others he would make sure she got home safely. That moment changed everything. Multiple witnesses saw them leave together. She leaned on him. He supported her as they walked into the darkness. It was the last confirmed sighting of Kristin alive. She never made it to her room. The next morning, her dorm bed was empty. Her shoes were still there. Her phone, her keys. Kristin Smart was gone. At first, people believed she had slept somewhere else, maybe a friend's room. Maybe she was embarrassed and avoiding everyone. But hours passed, then days.
Fear began to spread across campus. Police were called. Flyers went up. Search teams scoured the area. Dogs followed scent trails that led to one place: the dorm where Paul Flores lived. The trail stopped at his door. Paul told police he walked Kristin part of the way, then left her. He said she went on alone, but his story kept changing. Sometimes he said he left her sooner, other times later. His words never stayed the same. Witnesses contradicted him. Evidence pointed toward him, yet nothing happened. No arrest, no charges, no answers. Kristin's family was left in agony. Her parents, Stan and Denise Smart, refused to let her be forgotten. They searched endlessly. They spoke to the media. They pushed police. They waited. Years passed. Paul Flores remained free. He finished school. He moved. He lived his life. Kristin did not. For decades, the case sat cold. Evidence that could have helped did not exist yet. Technology had not caught up. But time was not on Paul's side. In 2020, investigators reopened the case with fresh eyes and modern science. They used ground-penetrating radar, cadaver dogs, soil analysis. They searched places that had never been fully examined before, including the backyard of Paul Flores' father. That is where everything changed. Forensic experts found signs of human decomposition under the soil. The patterns matched what happens when a body is buried, then later moved. This was not natural. This was not an accident. This was a cover-up. Police believed Kristin had been killed and secretly buried, then relocated years later to hide the crime. Suddenly, the past came crashing into the present. Paul Flores was arrested. So was his father, accused of helping hide the crime. After 25 years, the man who walked Kristin home was finally facing justice. But the story does not end there. because one question still burns. What happened during those final minutes when Kristin trusted someone she knew? And why did it take so long for the truth to surface? In the next chapter, the night of the party will be reconstructed step by step, revealing warning signs, missed chances, and the moment everything went wrong. And what witnesses later realized they had seen would change how you hear this story forever. Stay with me. The truth is just beginning to surface. The scream was never heard. That is what makes this part so frightening. Somewhere between the party and the dorms, in the quiet hours after midnight, something went terribly wrong. No one ran, no one called for help, no one came to Kristin Smart's rescue. And the person walking beside her knew exactly how helpless she was. That night was warm and calm. The campus paths were dimly lit. Students were drifting back to their rooms, laughing, unaware that a crime was unfolding just steps away. Kristin could barely stand. Witnesses later said she was leaning heavily on Paul Flores. Her head dropped forward, her legs dragged. She trusted him because he was familiar, a fellow student, not a stranger, not someone dangerous, at least not in her mind. That trust became the opening. Several people crossed paths with them. One couple even stopped and asked if Kristin was okay. Paul quickly answered for her. He said he was taking care of her. He sounded calm, responsible. No one questioned him further. That decision would haunt them forever. As they walked, Kristin's body grew weaker. Alcohol slowed her movements. Her mind was foggy. She could not protect herself. This is where investigators believe Paul made his move.
Police later said Kristin likely never reached her dorm. Instead, she was taken to Paul's room, a place close by. A place no one would question him entering with a drunk classmate. What happened inside that room was hidden for years. But pieces of the truth began to surface through witness statements and behavior that could not be explained away. Paul's roommate later told police something strange. He said Paul arrived late that night, alone. He noticed Paul washing clothes at an unusual hour, bedding, clothes that did not match a normal routine. Paul claimed nothing happened, but his actions told a different story. In the days after Kristin vanished, Paul showed scratches on his face. His explanation was weak. He said he got them from fixing his car. Friends did not believe him. Police noticed too, yet still no arrest. The investigation was sloppy at first. Evidence was missed. Rooms were cleaned. Time slipped away. Kristin's parents begged for answers. They held press conferences. They pleaded for help. They watched their daughter's face fade on missing posters. Meanwhile, Paul hired a lawyer almost immediately. That alone raised alarms. He refused to cooperate fully. He avoided interviews. He stayed silent. And silence protected him. As weeks turned into months, suspicion grew stronger. But without a body, prosecutors hesitated. The case stalled. Years passed, then decades. But Paul Flores did not escape suspicion. Women began coming forward with stories. They described encounters with Paul that made their skin crawl. Some said he followed them. Others said he watched them sleep. One woman reported being assaulted while unconscious. A pattern was forming. Paul had a history of targeting women who were vulnerable, just like Kristin. Still, the system failed to act, until time brought something new: technology. In 2019, investigators took another look. They brought in forensic experts trained to find what the eye cannot see. They examined soil, concrete, old records. Their focus turned to Paul's family home. When they searched the backyard, cadaver dogs alerted strongly. Ground scans showed disturbed soil shaped like a grave. Experts testified that a body had decomposed there. Kristin had been there, but she was no longer there now.
Investigators believe her body was moved years later to avoid detection. Someone helped. Someone who knew. Paul's father. The thought was chilling. A family protecting a secret for decades. When arrests finally came, Kristin's family felt both relief and pain. Relief that justice was moving. Pain that it took so long. But one piece was still missing. Kristin herself. Without her remains, the final moments of her life remained unclear. Did she fight? Did she realize too late that she was in danger? Did she call out for help that never came? Those answers may never be fully known. But what is known is this. Kristin Smart was abducted by someone she knew. Someone trusted by others. Someone who walked beside her while hiding a dark intention. And the people who could have stopped it did not see it in time.
As the trial approached, the weight of the evidence grew heavier. Paul's past behavior, his lies, the forensic findings, the quiet truth buried in the ground. Everything was closing in. But then, just when it seemed justice was finally within reach, a shocking development threatened to change everything. Evidence disappeared, testimony was challenged, and the defense prepared a strategy that could let Paul Flores walk free once again. In the next chapter, the courtroom battle begins, where truth, lies, and decades of silence collide. And the final question will be asked. After all these years, will justice finally speak, or will Kristin Smart be taken from the world a second time? Stay with me. The ending of this story decides everything. The courtroom was silent when the verdict form was handed to the judge. After more than 2 decades of waiting, every breath in the room felt heavy. Kristin Smart's parents sat side by side. Their hands trembled. They had lived this moment in their minds for years, always afraid it might never come. Across the room sat Paul Flores, the man who walked Kristin home, the man who never reported her missing, the man who lived free while her family lived in pain. This was the moment when the truth would either stand or fall apart. But getting here was not easy. The trial reopened wounds that never healed. Every detail of that night was pulled back into the light. Witnesses testified about seeing Kristin barely able to walk. They described Paul guiding her, speaking for her, controlling the situation. Prosecutors told the jury something simple and terrifying. Kristin did not vanish. She was taken, and she was taken by someone she knew. They explained how trust can be dangerous, how predators do not always hide in the dark. Sometimes they smile, sometimes they help, sometimes they look normal. The defense tried to break that truth apart. They argued there was no body, no direct witness to a murder. They said time had damaged the case, memories fade, evidence disappeared. They wanted doubt. But the prosecution had something stronger than before: science. Experts explained the soil evidence found beneath Paul's father's home. They described how human remains leave chemical traces that cannot be erased, how decomposition changes the earth forever. The jury listened as forensic specialists testified that Kristin's body had been buried there, not maybe, not possibly, but clearly, and then moved.
The courtroom grew tense when witnesses spoke about Paul's behavior over the years. Women told their stories. They described fear, control, being watched, being targeted while vulnerable. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Paul Flores did not randomly walk Kristin home. He chose her because she was drunk, because she trusted him, because he believed he could get away with it. Kristin's parents took the stand too. Their voices shook as they spoke about birthdays missed, holidays with an empty chair, the pain of waking every day not knowing where their daughter was.
They said they never stopped looking. They said they never stopped believing the truth would come out. When closing arguments ended, the jury left the room, and the waiting began. Hours passed, then days. Outside, reporters gathered. The public held its breath. This was more than a trial. This was a test. Could the justice system correct its failure? Could time be overcome? Could someone finally be held responsible for a crime that stole a young woman's future? When the jury returned, the room felt frozen. The verdict was read. Guilty. Paul Flores was convicted of murdering Kristin Smart. Kristin's mother cried. Her father closed his eyes. After 26 years, someone finally said out loud what they had always known. Kristin was not lost. She was taken, and her killer was someone she knew. Paul Flores was sentenced to prison, the same place Kristin never had a chance to leave. But even with the conviction, the story did not feel complete. Kristin's body has still never been found. Her family still does not have a place to visit, no grave, no goodbye. Justice came late. Too late to save her, too late to give her parents peace. And that truth lingers. This case changed how America talks about abduction. It reminded the public that danger does not always come from strangers. It can come from classmates, friends, people who offer help, people who seem safe. Kristin Smart trusted someone she knew, and that trust cost her life. As the courtroom emptied and Paul Flores was led away, one question remained unanswered. Where is Kristin? And will her family ever truly rest without bringing her home? That question still hangs in the air, because even when justice speaks, silence can remain. And sometimes, the hardest part of a true crime story is what is still missing. The sentence echoed through the courtroom like a door slamming shut. Prison. For Paul Flores, the word meant an ending. For Kristin Smart's family, it was not the ending they wanted, but it was the one they finally received. Yet even as the guards led him away, one truth remained heavy in the room. Kristin was still missing. Justice had spoken, but the silence around her final resting place refused to break.
Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. People across the country watched and felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. A killer had been named, a crime had been proven, but a young woman was still gone. For Kristin's parents, the victory felt incomplete. They stood together, older now, their faces shaped by years of waiting. They thanked the investigators who never gave up. They thanked strangers who kept their daughter's name alive. And then they said the words that mattered most. We still want to bring Kristin home. That wish had driven them for nearly 3 decades. After the trial, attention returned to the land, the yards, the places where Kristin might still be hidden. Investigators searched again. They dug, they scanned, they followed every new tip. Each search brought hope. Each search ended in heartbreak. Experts explained that moving a body leaves clues, but not always answers. Time destroys evidence. Nature hides secrets. And sometimes the truth stays buried deeper than anyone can reach. Still, Kristin's story changed something in America. Parents began to warn their children differently, not just about strangers, but about familiarity, about trust, about moments that seem safe until they are not. Colleges reviewed their safety rules. Students talked more openly about watching out for each other. Friends promised not to leave someone alone when they were vulnerable. Kristin's name became a lesson written in pain. But there was another truth, one harder to face.
Paul Flores did not act alone in silence. People saw Kristin that night. People noticed she could barely stand. People heard Paul speak for her. People assumed everything was fine. No one stopped him. This is not blame, it is a warning. Crimes like this do not always hide in darkness. Sometimes they walk openly down a lit path while everyone looks away. Kristin's case also exposed the cost of delay. Early mistakes, missed chances, evidence lost to time. If the case had been handled differently in 1996, would Kristin have been found sooner? Would justice have come faster? Those questions still hurt. And yet, something powerful happened. The truth survived. Despite years of silence, despite legal walls, despite fear and denial, the truth waited. And when science caught up, it spoke. Soil does not forget. Patterns do not lie, and neither does time. Paul Flores believed he had outrun the past. He believed that without a body, there could be no justice. He believed silence would protect him. He was wrong. Kristin Smart's story proves that some crimes follow their killers forever, even decades later, even when they think they are safe. Today, Kristin is remembered not just as a victim, but as a voice, a reminder, a warning written into American true crime history. She was a daughter, a student, a friend. She trusted someone she knew, and that trust was betrayed. As the years move forward, the search for Kristin continues. Her family still hopes. Investigators still listen. Somewhere, the ground still holds a secret. And until that secret is found, this story is not truly over. Because true crime does not always end with a body. Sometimes it ends with a question. Where is Kristin Smart?
And will the truth one day rise fully to the surface, bringing her home at last? Stay with this story, because even when justice speaks, the truth may still be waiting to be heard. If this story shook you, it should. Kristin Smart trusted someone she knew, and that trust was taken from her forever. Her case reminds us that true crime is not just about killers and courtrooms. It is about people, families, lives that never got to finish their story. There are many more real cases like this across the United States. Stories where the truth stayed buried for years. Stories where justice came late or not at all. If you want to hear those stories, if you believe these voices should never be forgotten, subscribe now and stay with this channel. Every week we uncover real American true crime cases, real events, real victims. No fiction, no excuses. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story, because the next name we tell could be one the world almost forgot. Thank you for listening. And remember, some truths wait years to be heard.